you horrible lot. I'm here finally. I'm always here. Always been here. Always here. Pushing this, pushing back, taking your crap, making new crap for you, pushing it around. Suppose we better push off then. I need someone to hold me bucket. Who's going to hold me bucket? You, mate. Hold that. Bring it on for me. All right, come on then. Let's have ya. Watch out for the cars and that. They don't need to run over or nothing. That's the station, Hackney Wick station. You probably came down that way or you've been through there before or something like that. It's good old Lord Napier. Used to be a lovely pub. Have a bit of knees up there, a bit of sing-song. It's all gone now though. They're getting a bit of paint job recently though. Looks alright, doesn't it? Don't really remember what was here, but it's where they keep the skips now, at McGrath. Keep the skips in there. Can't really use them, but you know, if you ever need one, call them lads up. Just going around the corner of the neighbour here, I'm just going to stop. Don't worry, I'm not going to walk like this all the time. I'm going to stop and I'm going to do a bit, and you can all hear it. Ah, fucking hell. Alright. Where's my bucket? Oi, mate. Oi, oi, bring it over here. Yeah, come in. Alright. That's great, thanks, Tiger Governor. Right, what was I talking about? I was talking about taking the crap and making new crap for you, and we made it here because no one else wanted the poisons and the noise and the hassle, you know. The workers, just bung them up in them houses as long as you need them and knock them down anyway. Just build it as long as it suits you, fill it full of people, they'll fill it with their lives. Make the shit you need. Take your poisons and your waste. They'll drink your poisons. They'll build lives from your waste. There's no tides on the canal, right? The canal's just up there. Well, there's a bit. That's the canal over there, and over there is the River Lee. But it's been crafted a bit. It looks a bit like a canal, but it's a river. Anyway, there's no tides on the canal. There's no tides on the Lee these days, but the Lee leads to the Thames. And that chugging sludge vomits into the sea, and so it ebbs and flows. And it brings the waves as far up yon shitty creek as here. And the first wave dumped us up in the marshes. Boggy bastard as it was then. Them blue woad smeared critters had the run of it for year and year. And back then we dabbled in this and that, in berry plucking and weed rooting and fish trawling, till one fine day we espied a veritable flotilla of great hairy scarred Danes coming up the Lee. Next wave question, we thought, about 895 Anno Domini it were, or 4. Anyway, they were on their way up to Hertford, their usual rapine, raving and pillaging, or more gentle introduction of a peaceful agrarian modus vivendi if you subscribe to current Viking history revisionism. But good old Alfie, well, Alfred the Great, you calls him, has a cunning little plan, and he tasks us with draining the Lee, what was then a fast-flowing and bountiful river. And so we left them day men up the shitty creek with nothing to paddle against. Fun days, I tell you. Well, that's that bit done about the old history of the Wick. We're going to move off down there now, all right? Where's Bucket Boy? Right, Bucket Boy, you get that. Right, man, there you go, mind, there you go, coming through, all right. I better leave because I know where we're going, innit? Watch out for the cars, watch out car. All right, you stay there, I'll go here. Wait. Come on, mate. Thanks very much. All right, what are you doing? So, where was I? I was talking about draining the Lee, stop them Vikings coming and causing hassle. And that was basically how the landscaping around this area started. And then years on down the line, I remembered them Danes as we drained most of the marshes and channeled the Lee and gouged the cut. For why? Well, I'll tell you, it was mostly for transport. So we get the barges up properly to supply the grain mills neath the marshes to the south. All still there in a green and pleasant land. There was a snuff mill out by Wick Lane over there. Always been a bit partial to a line of snuff, the Wick. Always a hive of industry around us. And then came the North London Railway, and the industrial mills, dying dark and forged satanic, brought us out in hives. It was Meldola's blue dye and Clarnico creams and Achilles and Eugene Sayre and their dry cleaning machines. And there was Imperial Gas, Light and Coke. And there was the British Perforated Paper Company, what made bog roll. And there was the Imperial Tar Works. And there was the British Oxygen Company. And there was Set Right Registers Limited. And there was Foreman's of Fish Island. And Carlos, Capel and Leonard named petrol right here. Carlos named petrol. Car-less petrol. God help us. Well, Vicky, good old Queen Victoria, she gave us a park out to the west. And Alex Parks, he brought us Parkasine, one of the first synthetic plastics. A plastic blight born right here. Next to them they had shellac from Sutherland at Lee Works. And by them were Victory, Omega, Atlas, Alga and Iron. Works all, and work we did, man and boy. Till smoke blind and gasping, we staggered back to them squat terraces of Chapman and Felsted streets, what Charles Booth, in his economic survey of London, had called very poor with chronic want. Later, of course, we had our very own Dr. Jelly to minister to all our aches and pains, the famous threepenny doctor, riding around the Wick on horseback, whose exploits, treating up to 80,000 patients a year, were chronicled in the New York Times, no less. But back then, when a cough could claim a child in a few short days, help was in short supply. And with that lovely image of dying children, we're going to move on. All right, Bucky boy, there we go, sir. Thank you very much. Just here, we've got Soleil's Norred's garage. Soleil, solid chap. He's Omani born, brought up in Norway, and now he's here. Because we take them all in. Don't mind where you're from. Right, I'm just going to stick that there. I'm going to sit in front of this beautiful Union Jack here. Where's my bucket? Thank you very much, sir. You might see a theme developing here. So, I was talking about dying kids. And how there wasn't much help for those of us working around here. So there came to us our very own angels of mercy, as boys and men of Eton saw and took pity on us impoverished sods. Those being more enlightened times when at least some of those who went to school developed a social conscience, unlike the Bullingdon cunts who lord it over you today. Can you imagine Bojo, Call Me Dave and the Gideot coming down from Chipping Norton and Notting Hill, spend day after day kicking about football with lads from the Trowbridge estate, teaching them to row, to fence, to strive to attain their full potential, genuinely dirtying their hands to grease the wheels of social mobility? I call fat chance. So anyway, the old boys of Eton, watch out for the cars, just coming around the corner there. You're on the right side of the road, so you should be alright. Right, mate. Come on, let's have you. There's no one here on the other side. Getting busier every day around here, I tell you. Just wait for him to pass. It all passes eventually. There we are. So the old boys of Eton founded their Christian mission in the parish of St Mary of Eton, in a church just up by the Eastway, round there. You might have seen it from the station. And a few years later, turn a centurywards it were, 4 more old boys hastened forth the Eton Manor Boys Club. Pushed sporting they did. Douglas Jardine, English cricket captain. Alf Ramsey, English football captain. They coached up there. Raised up some great old champs. They took an old rubbish tip out in the marshes and made it their sporting grounds. Taking the waste and building lives out of it. They got some Olympic gold medalists out of it too. We'll see a bit more about the Olympics when we head up this way. There you are, sir. You know it already, you know it. All right, here we go. Watch out there. It's all useful, it's all valid. It's the griddlers here. Lovely greasy spoon. Get yourself a nice bacon back or something like that. Just here, it used to be Bengali TV station. They knocked it down, found out buildings riddled with asbestos. It was a vacant lot for a while. And then some lads got a grant to build a skate park. What you could just see the tops of it in there. Which is good, you know, it's something to keep the lads off the street. Well, keep them on the street, you know, have them doing something more productive, like. Bit like what they were doing at Eton Manor, the boys' club there, back in those years. A couple more cars coming through here, so watch out. It's a famous yard theatre here, you might have heard of that. There's R.I.P gallery just on the top over there. Just here, that used to be the Lee Tavern. Another solid, classy joint for a bit of a knees up of a Friday night. It's all gone now though. Got some nice paintings out of it, I suppose. Not quite the same though, is it? It's the famous 92 White Post Lane. First there was one building, then there were two, then there were three, and now there's a fourth. Used to be textiles, printers, that sort of thing. Mostly artists now though. Just gonna bung that there. Get my bucket and crack on with this malarkey. Alright. Solid. So I was talking about the Eaton Manor Boys Club. In about 1967, old Villiers, who ran the place, closed it down. Times are changing, you see, next wave cresting. And the bikers had moved in by then. 59, John Oates rode first, and he was followed by Sharegold, Hullett and Cook. Watch out for the car. There we go. Shut down these roads one of these days. The 59 Bikers Club, they called it, or the 9. They had 20,000 members at one stage from all over the world, but they had to sign up here in person. We brought them in and we chewed them up and we spat them out again. We had a premiere screening of that Marlon Brando film, The Wild One, back in 1968. It was banned before, but we've never cared much for cans and cants around here. We had that Cliff Richard at that screening. There was Lord Snowdon, Princess Margaret, Liz Taylor, all up the road, rubbing levers and getting on famously. Until a few years down the line, the Mods and Rockers kicked off, as is their wont, and we had to split them up. All tribes welcome around here, that's the thing, always has been. Just don't fuck it up. Do unto as thou would be done unto, or whatever. Round here though, we've mostly been done unto. I'll show you the next bit of dunning unto up the road there. Here you are, sir. Good work. Right, I'm just going to have to back out here. It's a bit curved. Can't quite get over it. All right. There we go. So this is White Post Lane. Used to run in a straight line all the way to Stratford. The fastest way there. And we got this Olympic bid. They put a bloody great blue fence down the middle of it. About 6 years. We had to go all the fucking way round. Right hassle, that work. You know, it's all changed now though. The Mother Studios here, elevator gallery at the top, got an elevator to get to the gallery. That's all. Just here, it's the Hamlet Industrial Estate. That's where, I was telling you about the German deli before, that's where they moved, they're just on the corner there. In fact, they're still open, they're normally closed this time. If you fancy a bit of German speciality, bit of German sausage, that's the place to go. Got performance space here, doing whatever crazy shit they do. Puppeteers, there's guys hacking up chickens and whatnot, all that sort of thing. Just over there, where that building is, a few years ago, well, quite a few years ago now, maybe like about 15, let me watch out for this. Come on through, mate. Alright, sound user. So, about 15 years ago, just where that big old classy block is there, used to be Fridge Mountain. Fridge Mountain was the biggest pile of discarded refrigerators in all of Europe, just over there. Anyway, we just went a little bit further. I'm sorry, that wasn't an official stop. That was an improvised stop. The official stop's just up here. The famous white building, Crate Brewery at the back there. Make up some pizzas, a few beers. They're all right, you know, not a Truman's or anything, but what can you do? I'm just going up and curve here. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Mordor. Just behind me here, you'll see the vast, never blinking eye of Sauron. So like I said, that big old blue fence, that was right there. Where now we've got this rather suspicious and worrying guard tower just there. It's just emerged in the last few days. Not quite sure what it's about, but it makes me a bit nervous, I'll tell you. So, yeah, this is the Olympic site here. I'm sure you've heard all about it. You don't need to blather on about it. And it's not really Hackney Wick anymore anyway. And I'm a bit harsh on them, but they did some good things. The groundwater there was saturated with mercury, and they cleaned all of that up. And they built some houses over there because people need houses. They're pretty fucking ugly houses, but they are houses. And they built a park in the middle as well. So we now got a park over there, we've got a park over there, we've got the marshes up there. It's a nice, it's a It's a bit too nice though, it's a bit too sculpted and clean, and it's not really what we're about this side of the fence, which is why I guess the fence is there. You know, we've always been a bit like that, a bit, you know, a bit like a scab. It's like scab-like, picked. Like the bleeding out happened elsewhere, else time. First, when them Nazis came with Frans and Eagles, and they bombed you all, east, west, north and south. But then the wound was left, and it's scarred, but integrated naturally, biologically, into the city skin, the urban derma, if you will. But round here, they picked and they picked. And eventually this new lot came, with smiles and 5 rings. Rings to rule them all. Another car coming through, let him through. All right, fella. Come on. Actually, you can stop and watch if you like. I don't mind. No? All right. See you later then. So we was all scabbing over nice like, and picked off to bleed once more. But I get ahead of myself with the Olympics. We haven't quite reached there chronologically yet. Blitz bombed and bleeding, so we lay. The old accursed terraces of Chapman and Felsted streets flattened. The jerry-rigged shanty towns gone long afore. So them upstairs decides to try a social housing experiment. Not the first time in London, of course. Peabody had built up a bunch of classy old mansion blocks about 100 years afore, back in Shoreditch Way and Southwark and that. But we don't get no classy mansion blocks, so no, we get the bleeding Trowbridge Towers. Up they went, 6 monolithic great anthills, and in we moved. There was that bird, what was her name? Dolly Barnes, that's it. She used to live up in them. And we'd walk down here to work every day at Zammo, round the corner, as they went from bug powder merchants to run the whole gamut of disinfecting products, what they still do today. And they have seen off plenty of other businesses around them. They've seen off the India Rubber Type Company, S&B Bodies, who make coaches, paint manufacturers, the works. Boston Veneers, beautiful walnut finishes. There was Lesney's up the Lee there, making the toy Matchbox cars. You remember them? Now the cars have all grown up though. We rip them apart with relish at RA's and Fat Mick's. So let's go and see RA and Fat Mick. Thank you much, sir. I'm going to come through the here because I haven't got my glasses on. But it's facing the Olympic site, it just says athlete's foot. Perfect. So yeah, all sorts of new bars and business opening down. At the bottom ground floor here, we've got the glass factory opening up. There's going to be restaurant, working space, bar, that sort of thing. Chat with the car behind you, mate. So we're heading down to Queen's Yard. Used to be King's Yard, now it's Queen's Yard. All these pink lampposts, they're all from the Olympic flag, just point people in the right direction. Here we are. So this is a working yard, so it might look like a car park, still might be cars, vans, moving around, that sort of thing. Got the old potato guys here. I was talking about RA's, that's RA's, and over there's Fat Mick's, run by Fat Mick. We've got the back of the Mullen studios here, back of the Crate Brewery. Right, I normally do my bit there with the van there at the moment, so I'm just going to do it here. So just make sure you don't get run over or nothing. Thank you very much, sir. What's your name, sir?
Ben.
Ben. Ben. This is Ben, ladies and gentlemen. He's done a sterling work carrying my bucket. And I'll have to buy him a pint or something later. So, what was I saying before? I was talking about that. And then I was talking about something else as well. If you hold on a second. Sorry?
Fat Mick.
Fat Mick. That's quite right. And there he is, over there. That still doesn't help me remember my place in the script though. Problem is, I've been extemporising in order to try and give you contextual details of the area whilst we walk around and stuff. It's just too much fucking information flowing in out my head. Hold on a second, where are we now? So we're over there. Oh yeah, well the reason I was talking about Fat Mix and the industry that's still going on is because there's plenty of working to be done around here. And there was plenty else to pass the time to. And just over the Lee there was a stadium what hosted the speedway racing, the motorbike racing. And they had plenty of teams. They had the Wick Wolves and the Hackney Hawks and the Speedway Kestrels. And they had the Greyhound racing up there too. Fine day that was. Kicking out from Spiegelstein Furniture Finishes, or Darrow as it was then and now. Heading over the Dogs for a punt. And then back over the Lee for a pint. At the White Lion or the good old Lord Napier over there. Or the Lee Tavern on White Post Lane, what I just showed you. They've all gone now though. Knocks them all down or whatever. Build them up. Left to rot. Knock it down. Left it all to rot. And the old stadium there too. Nothing left but just a pack of dogs snuffling around an old decaying flea market. Little Stevie Gill snapping off disposable shots of disposable lives. And the decay was left and ebbed and flowed. And Trowbridge Towers, they came down. And Fridge Mountain, that went up. And all but a few businesses left. And then came the ravers. And their thock, thock, boom, boom echoed round the cavernous rooms alongside the forever rolling machines of the printers, who'd built a grim paradise for themselves all round these parts in Queen's Yard and Main Yard, printing up programmes for West End musicals by day and phony dough and porn by night. And the next wave was night. And that's going to take us to the final leg of our journey, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are, Reuben. Very fitting name there. All right, let's have you. Good evening, madam. Thank you very much. Right, here we go. Who's this striking one? Back next, like I say, bins. If you're interested in bins, there's a wide variety of bins and waste receptacles around the Wick. But help yourself, it's all varied. I'm going to use a couple of these bits later and knock something up nice. Might even do a bit of art. So here we have the famous Yard Theatre, what concludes our journey. Here we have the R.I.P gallery. Squeeze through here, try and get through. Yeah, just about perfect. Right lads, how you doing? Gonna whack that there. Watch out for the glass, bit of broken glass. They had a bit of a knees up here last night. I'm gonna stand up on this bench, maybe hold on to that. We're all there, we're all in, perfect. So I was talking about the industry and the printers. And the big old rooms, what once housed rows and rows of table-bound workers and huge chugging contraptions churning out the latest commercialised thingamybobs, doohickeys and whatsits, were partitioned with walls of plasterboard and breeze block. And the crap was scooped off the streets and used to build furniture and mezzanines. And the jerry-rigged shantytowns were reborn. And that little stutter there has made me lose my place. I think technically that's called drying, ladies and gentlemen. I have just dried in front of you. Hold up. Yeah. Where are we? Oh yeah, so I was talking about the jerry-rigged shantytowns and the artists moving in, building furniture and all that kind of thing. And by day those worker bees hunkered down in their hives. And they scraped stone and they lathed wood and they smeared paint and they dreamt their dreams. And the dreamers of other dreams were amongst them. There were churches flung off the map from Lagos and Abuja. There was Vision House Ministries. There was the Celestial Church of Christ, just there next to Fat Mix. And round the corner, there was the Mountain of Holy Fire and Miracles. All holed up under the leaking corrugated roofs next to the makers of tiki bars and Fun Time Swingers Club. And all around them, the industry staggered to its last. There were the breakers and mechanics, the food processing plants, what tore perfectly symmetrical holes in potatoes and shaved slivers from carrots. And Central Books sat in the centre like a vast bibliographical suction pump, pulling in the latest volumes from publishers, organising them, then blasting them back out into the world. And sewing machines whirred, and guillotines chopped, and furniture makers hacked. And at lunch, the workers would fill up the Wick Cafe, and Tubby's, and Maps, and the Griddlers round the corner there in the Main Yard burger van. And eventually the sun would set over Vicky Park and the industry would close down for the day. And by dribs and drabs, the worker bees would emerge from their hives to congregate in this warehouse or in that, in Oslo House, in Liquid Studios, in 92, in 43, in the Peanut Factory, in Stour Space, in Dace Road, in Smead Road, in Mainyard and in Mother. And there they clumped. And they spoke about what had been and what would be. Praising, bitching, eulogising and gossiping, whilst all round them guitars squalled, blood-red feedback and white noise, and bedroom DJs span the insistent boom-thump pulse of the Wick, whipping up the crowds into a frenzied dervish mass. The atomised artist spun into a single polychromatic skein of life force and pulled until the night snaps. And that's me done, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed it. Get yourself a pint, your tickets, we'll see you inside for the show. Thank you.
Thank you. No, it comes out. No.